Welcome to the Stranger Conversations podcast, where we explore the lives and lessons of those around us, hidden in plain sight. I'm your host, Tay Jones. Welcome to the Stranger Conversations podcast. Today, my guest is Azdean Elmoustaquim. He's the founder of Destinations Morocco and the host of the Destinations Morocco podcast. Through Destinations Morocco, Azdean crafts immersive Moroccan tours that go beyond the surface, from learning the art of mint tea in Berber villages to sleeping beneath Saharan stars, and he's very passionate about showing travelers the authentic Morocco. And I'm excited to have Azdean on the show, and I'm really looking forward to learning more, about Azdean, but also Morocco's culture, hospitality, and he's, as he put it in one of his emails to me, it's transformation. So I'm really excited to have you on the show, Azdean Elmoustaquim. Welcome to the Stranger Conversations podcast.
Thank you so much, Dave, for the warm welcome. I really appreciate it. I'm very grateful for this amazing opportunity to be on your podcast, and I'm looking forward to it, and I'm super excited. So let's do it.
Yeah, let's dive in. And I have a little bit of a confession to make. I know nothing about Morocco. So I have seen Casablanca, and that's about the extent of my knowledge for Morocco, if any of that is even close to reality. And even that has been probably 20 years since I watched that. So this is going to be a great conversation. Very excited to see, what it is that you're up to, and, really opening up Morocco for travelers, and, giving people adventures and learn about the passion that you have for your home country. I'm assuming that's your home country. It's just a wild guess, but are you from Morocco?
I am born and raised.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Where in Morocco are you from?
I was born and raised in Marrakesh, but my family hails from a small village in the outskirts of a small town called Ouarzazate, and the village is called Tilwet.
Okay.
And that village hosts or has about 23, 26 different villages inside of it. So it's all part of mountains and, hills and stuff. So that's where my family is originally from.
Wow. And how long did you live there? Because I believe you're in the United States currently. Is that right?
Yes, I live in the US now. I've been here since '95, and
Okay.
it's been an amazing experience. And I go back and forth. And now with work, I'm very grateful for the opportunities that I have going back and forth more often versus, going every 2 years or 3 years. Now it's almost every year I have a chance to go. And I just came back a week ago, and
Wow.
it's just been incredible. So it's been amazing.
Yeah, that's great. And so if you moved to the United States in '95, were you a child then, or an adult?
I was 22, so
Okay.
just a college kid, if you would, and I've been here since. So it's been 31 years, I believe. So, and it's been a lot of fun. So being in the U.S. has given me an outstanding opportunity, and also it made me appreciate Morocco a little bit more, because this might sound a little bit insane, but as a teenager at that time, I just wanted to get out of Morocco as fast as I could. So having that opportunity to come to the US, it's just like it's beyond incredible. It's almost unbelievable, if you would. And then when it happened, then it was like, oh wow. So I felt so really good about it, and I still feel good about it. It made me love Morocco more, appreciate the culture more, the people more, the hospitality. So in a way, I needed it, and it's paying off. So I'm giving back to the culture, giving back to the communities, to the country, and it's an amazing feeling. So I could not have done that just on my own, but being in the US, it really has helped me achieve that, Tay.
Yeah. I mean, in the United States, has a lot to offer. There's a lot of opportunities. Coming here, I'm assuming that opened up a lot of opportunities for you, or do you think there were opportunities if maybe your mindset was more to stay, back home?
Oh, at that time, I really wanted to leave. So coming to the US, it's like, going into the future in a way. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of opportunities, and there still are a lot of opportunities. So, and I took advantage of them, and it helped me out. It helped people in my community back home, my family back home. So it's been incredible. So yeah.
Yeah, and so you're in Houston. That's quite a big change probably from Morocco.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, just culture shock, but I would assume, also, I mean, when I think of Morocco, I think of, that desert environment, really hot. And you said you were just there. I mean, this is pretty much the same seasons, right now it's winter time in Morocco.
Yes.
What does winter time in Morocco feel like? I think I briefly just looked at your website, which is absolutely gorgeous, by the way. I don't know if anybody can go and look at Destinations Morocco on Instagram or your website. Whoever does your photography and your videos, it's great. I don't know if that's you, but beautiful photos.
Thank
And
you.
I swear I saw a mountain with snow on it. Is there
Yes,
snow
that
in
is true.
Morocco somewhere?
Yes, yes. Actually, that's a really good question. Yes, the weather in the winter time in Morocco really, really varies. It depends, from city to city, region to region. So when you go, for example, to the mountains, obviously it does snow. If you're in Marrakesh, a lot of people may not be familiar with Marrakesh. It's dead in the middle, and the surrounding areas are the mountains. So you can see the snowy mountains from Marrakesh. You don't even have to leave. But then the side effect of it is, Marrakesh is really cold early mornings, then it gets cold at nighttime. It's a little different than Casablanca, for example, where it has a stable temperature in the wintertime versus Marrakesh. Especially in areas where the sun doesn't hit. If it's a high building, high apartments, it can be really, really cold. So, during my tour that I just came back from, we were in the desert and it was nearly 0 degrees. So it does get very, very cold. A lot of people may not, they just think it's always hot, but it's actually not. So, and then we hit some 0 degrees as well in the mountains. And you can see right after we came back to Marrakesh, the snow fell quite a bit. So they had to really shut down the road for a couple of days because it was just, snowy too much. And then, being from Marrakesh, all those years that I have visited back, I've never seen it rain so much in Marrakesh. And I know this season has been really rainy throughout the country, which is a really, really good sign. So it's really, really incredible. And then when you travel during the winter time, you just have to know what to pack. That way, just do it the right way.
Right. Yeah, I was pretty surprised to see snow in one of those photos on your website. It actually sounds pretty similar to where I live. So I live in the Phoenix area, and it's when you say 0 degrees, I'm assuming you mean Celsius. So
Celsius,
yeah,
that's correct. Yeah.
Phoenix will get down to right about there in the winter time, and then it can be really warm in the daytime. The night and mornings are kind of chilly, and you drive an hour and you could be in the snow. So it almost
Absolutely.
sounds pretty similar to that. You kind of know what to pack and know where to go to have
Yes.
the different adventures that you're looking for. Um,
Yeah.
and when you said, obviously one of my questions for you is, do you live in America? Do you kind of run your business from afar, or do you kind of travel back and forth? So it does sound like you travel back and forth at least once a year.
That's a good question. I do run it from the US, but then we have an office in Marrakesh. And that's, when somebody travels, they have access to us really 24/7. Locally, then internationally, they have access to me, and we create a WhatsApp group where we communicate on a daily basis. Then they have the access to the management, on the ground. Then they have access to their driver 24/7, or a local guide, or a national guide, or a tour leader 24/7 as well. So it's in terms of support, we do have really, really good support. And it's funny you mentioned, Phoenix, Arizona. I went to Phoenix in '97, Tay, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And it just felt like a copy in the future of Marrakesh, I promise you, in terms of the mountains, in terms of the weather, and also in terms of some of the buildings, the red colors. Marrakesh is also called the Red City. So
Oh, really?
yes, you're absolutely right. Everything you said about, comparison Marrakesh to Arizona, Phoenix, it's very similar, especially when it comes to weather.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's I love it here. The weather's great. The summer times, and I'm guessing it's like that in Morocco, but the summer times are brutal hot. But those 3-4 months, the other 9 months make up for it, because it's a great place to be, and it is, the landscape is gorgeous. I didn't know Marrakesh was, the red city, like you said. That's pretty interesting. I love the red rock look and everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so you run Destinations Morocco. So, I mean, we're touching on it a little bit, but you do full travel adventures for anybody who's looking to kind of go and experience Morocco. Tell us a little bit
Absolutely.
about the business that you've put together.
Okay. The business we started about, well, it's 10 years ago. We started in 2016. And basically we just create, or plan tours for people that it's kind of difficult for them to plan new destination, new country, new culture. They don't know literally not much about the destination, so they need help in planning. So that's what we do, and we build itineraries for them. Every itinerary we create, we build it from scratch. So there's no two itineraries that really look alike. So, and basically they are tailored to you. They are unique as the traveler. Anything that they want to see, they want to experience, it's going to be in that itinerary, including the accommodations, the transportation, the experiences, the local guides. If they want to just a local guide in certain cities or in all the cities, or if they want somebody to be with them throughout the tour, like a national certified national guide or a tour leader, if you would. So, and then, if they want to, have dinner experiences, for example, we can book those for them. If they want a spa and a hammam experience, we can do that. Hot air balloon, henna experience, camel ride, anything that you can think of, we can include it in the itinerary for them. So, a lot of people, I talk about it all the time, they also want to have that Berber experience or the Amazigh experience with the locals, or when you go to the mountains, they want to spend some time with the family, or they want to donate something to a family or to an association or a women's co-op. So literally everything that they want, we can absolutely deliver it to them.
Yeah. So it's not a cookie cutter experience. You kind of have a good interaction with the traveler and get an idea of what they're looking for out of the experience.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. And that process, just to give you an idea, Tay, it really takes probably a couple of weeks, maybe 2 to 3 weeks to maybe 5 or 6 weeks, depending on how long the itinerary is and the changes they wanted to make on the item. Because once we present it to the client, they say, hey, I like day one, I like day two. Can we change the accommodation on day three? Can we skip this and do this instead? So there's a little bit of going back and forth, but once the itinerary is approved, that's it. It's perfect. Then we move to the next step.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would assume, like you said, there's a lot of different landscapes and a lot of different things to see. I know nothing about Morocco, so I'm assuming there's some very desolate regions. But when you're talking about like Marrakesh, how many people live in Marrakesh? What's the population?
I would say in Marrakesh there are probably about 2.5 million people.
Okay, so it's a big
Yeah,
city. Yeah,
it is. It is. It's Casablanca is the biggest,
really.
and it's the economy hub of the country. Then you have Fes, then you have Marrakesh, then Rabat is the capital city. So it's pretty packed now, because Morocco is hosting the African Cup of Nations. I mean, it's super 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 busy anywhere really you go. So, but there's so many destinations that are popular, and Morocco, when you talk about the landscape, Tay, it's every 45 minutes the landscape really changes. It feels like you're in a different country every hour or so, and there's so many things that you need to capture, memories that you need to create. So there's a lot of stops along the way if you go into the north side of Morocco or if you go into the south side of Morocco. So there's just so many things to see and take pictures of, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is, you had mentioned the African Cup of Nations? What is that? I've never heard of that before.
It's I wouldn't say it's the equivalent to the World Cup, but it's
Oh, okay.
it's pretty big. So the World Cup is the biggest event, and in 2026, this year, the United States, Mexico, and Canada are hosting it. I believe Houston is have some games here,
Mm-hmm.
and then the next one is every 4 years. So the next one is going to be hosted by Spain, Portugal, and Morocco, and they're working on it actually right now. With all the construction, they already started it. Then the African Cup, it's every 2 years, and it's all the countries in Africa, so they
Gotcha.
compete for that cup. So Morocco just won the Arab Cup, which was hosted in Qatar just recently, maybe 3 weeks ago, against Jordan. Then Morocco also won the local uh, World Cup championship. Then for women, for the men also under 17, they won the World Cup against Argentina. So soccer it's pretty big deal in Morocco and in
Yeah.
Africa. I would say anywhere else except the U.S. It's not. It has not really captured that excitement and all that. So
Yeah.
the African Cup, Morocco is hosting it this year, and then so the final is going to be sometime in I believe in January, I think 18 or 19. Then Morocco is playing Tanzania in a couple of days. So on Sunday, Morocco is going to be playing Tanzania in the next the next game for Morocco. So
Yeah. With those big, football tournaments, that's probably doing well for business to get people to come to Morocco and experience that, experience the World
100%.
Cup and the Africa Cup and everything.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, Tay.
Yeah. So, I mean, landscapes, soccer, Morocco. What else does Morocco have to offer? One thing I will say that fascinates me every time I ever see anything with Morocco, the architecture and the design. It's very colorful, very beautiful. What are some of the best things that Morocco has to offer?
That's a real question, Tay. If you look at Morocco, Morocco, actually, I was going to say this. Morocco was the first country to recognize United States of America as independent back, and I see the title behind you for David McClellan,
Yep.
1776. But just to give you an idea, at that time, Morocco was very, very powerful. So, and to go against Britain, which is it's an empire, and do that recognition is just right now the equivalent of United States recognizing the sovereignty of the Moroccan Sahara in Morocco. So it's something that it's massive and it's very powerful. So Morocco has thousands and thousands of years, layers of culture, history, and it goes back 12 centuries. We have places, synagogues, churches, mosques. They date back way, way, way. It's just beyond incredible. And then we have the Amazigh culture, which expands throughout North Africa, not just Morocco. You look at Morocco, you look at Algeria, a little bit of Tunisia, a little bit of Libya, and then a small part of Egypt, which is kind of very surprising to a lot of people. So then when you look at the Amazigh culture in itself, there's the languages that they are spoken, the Rifi language in the north side of Morocco. Then, for example, in the throughout Morocco, there's Tashlahid, there's Tasusid, there's two other languages that are spoken same in the Amazigh spec. And then when you look at Algeria, they have what we call Qabaili, which is Amazigh language, but it's a little different. We don't understand it. Even in Morocco, we don't understand Tarifit, which is the Rifi language that is spoken in the north side of Morocco. The other Amazigh languages are a little bit more similar, if you would. So I may understand some words and stuff like that. So that's
Yeah.
what really makes Morocco very interested in, culturally extremely diverse. And then when you said the art and the architecture and the buildings, there's from different dynasties. When you look at the Andalusian era, we look at the Moravite era, we look at the Saadian era. Then between us and, for example, when you go to Spain, and Morocco has colonized Spain for about 700 years. So in the southern part of Spain, you can see the Moroccan influence in Spain. And then we go back and forth with them. They colonized us, and so you can now in the north part of Morocco, a lot of people they speak Spanish. Versus the other parts of Morocco where the Darija, which is the dialect, is spoken, and French. Even though French is losing its, I would say, I would not say the value, but it's not getting as popular now. English is definitely getting a little bit more popularity in Morocco, and also in the school systems they are teaching it a little bit earlier versus when I was a kid and we had to learn it in high school. Now it's like first grade, you start learning English, which is just incredible. So then you have, the Amazigh culture, and you can see this especially when you go into the Kasbahs and when you go into the southern part of Morocco, they're a little bit different than what you would see in Marrakesh or Fas and stuff like that. And a really good example when you go to the Ait bin Haddouk Kasbah, which has been featured in numerous movies from the Gladiators to Game of Thrones to,
Hmm.
you know, Prince of Persia. So many movies have been made. You can see the difference in terms of cultures that have, been, in Morocco throughout the centuries. So in terms of history, it's going to be a lot of fun for you. Yeah, definitely. Highly recommend it. Yes.
Yeah, the history bit of it, that I really like history, and I think that's pretty interesting. It, like you said, Spain and Morocco. I didn't realize that Morocco kind of occupied Spain at one point. I would have thought maybe it was the other way around. But I heard you say like the Andalusian area,
Yes.
because that's the
Yeah.
south of France, right? Andalusia.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's,
or excuse me, the
especially
south
with,
of Spain. Excuse me. Yeah.
yeah, the south of Spain, when you go to Cordoba, Cartagena, you'll see it. You'll see the influence. There's a lot of similarities. For example, when you look at, the Kutubiyya Mosque, which was built back in, I believe for the 12th, the 11th century. There's a similar mosque that it's also built in southern part of Spain. Uh, uh, taking that model, of the Kutubiyya Mosque. So there's a lot of similarities, and also Morocco used to extend to the sub-Saharan countries. It used to be in terms of land. It used to be pretty big versus to what it is right now. So
Hmm. And I've heard you mention, mosques, churches. Is there, a a religion in Morocco that is more than the other? Is it a Muslim country, or does it have both Christianity, Muslim?
Morocco is dominantly Muslim country. I would say probably 98%, but we still have churches, we have synagogues, and we have some synagogues that they go back to the 8th century to the 12th century. And it's funny because there's a lot of Jewish history and heritage in Morocco. And so when we have clients and we take them and say, hey, they want to do a Jewish tour, and then we take them to a synagogue, and they're really shocked and surprised in the most positive way. And some of the comments that we hear, I've seen synagogues 200, 300 years old, but I've never seen one that it's 1200 years.
Wow.
So it's, again, going back to the culture, to the diversity, to the layers of the history. So Morocco at some point used to be, the Amazigh people, which is the indigenous people of Morocco. And they were mixed. In the Amazigh, they were Jewish people. Then they were just people who worship idols. There was no Islam at some point in Morocco. And then in the Far East, in the Middle East, there was a king and had a conflict with his brother. Then the brother fled and came to Morocco, and that's how really the dynasty, if you would, and the recent history of the current dynasty actually started with. It's not the current is the Alawid, but that's what really started the monarchy, if you would, in Morocco. So in terms of culture, it's very mixed. You have the Jews, you have the Berbers, then you have the just the idol worshippers, like I said, but then everything changed, and then it became, I would say, most of it just Muslim, and then in the 60s, back in the last century, there has been a really strong immigration from all over the globe to Israel. So all the Jewish people that lived in Morocco, they have migrated to Israel, especially from Fas, from Essaouira, from Marrakesh, from everywhere, including villages, and they left their houses. So when you go now, you can still see those houses. You can still see where they have lived. Close. They always lived close to the palace, to the king's palace, which is for protection. And also the area where they lived is also called the Millah. So there's a Jewish quarter in when you go to Marrakesh, you'll see it as well. When you go to Essaouira, when you go to Fas. So the Jewish community used to be quite big in Meknes as well. It's a big one. Then Tetouan. So they're all over Morocco. And then those houses, most of them, they just stayed inhabited. So Now, when the borders opened back in 2020, there's a lot of people from Israel that have been born in Morocco. They're coming back with their second generation, third generation, multi-gen families, visiting their ancestors, their houses, and so forth. Yeah, so it's been an amazing just to see the Jewish people coming back to Morocco and see them celebrating and doing weddings in Morocco and stuff like that. So it's incredible.
So it's a pretty peaceful country. You kind of a molding, I guess, or melding of many different cultures, including different religions, and that's perfectly okay. It sounds, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, it's when I grew up, we don't say a Jew or non-Jew. We don't even say those things. We grew up as kids, friends, and we are all Moroccans. There's no specification or division. We don't see it. We don't feel it. We don't recognize it. Even to this day, it's still the same. So, and it's funny because I remember I visited me and my grandfather long time ago. He went to a shop to see his friend, and he was Jewish, but he never mentioned to me that he was Jewish or this or that. I mean, and again, this is going back, we're talking over 100 years ago. So it's in our culture. We don't say Jewish or we say Muslim. We just say Moroccans. We're all Moroccans. Yeah. There's no division. Even though hey, your friend is Jewish, we don't say Jewish. We just say friend.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's great. And I know that would be, some things that people might think about. Oh, should I go to Morocco? You just kind of think Africa or Northern Africa. Is it safe? It sounds like it's a pretty safe place to be and to visit. What's the general consensus on that as far as going to see? Is it good to go? Obviously, it's nice to have a nice experience with, an experienced travel company like yourself. Are there certain things that people should look out for, or is that kind of the best way to go about it, is to have a real service plan their trips for them?
I would say, through our podcast, a lot of people listen to us, but the majority of them don't go with us. I mean, there's plenty of content in the podcast that they make their own itineraries. They pick the places to stay, the ones that we talk about and all that stuff, and they create their own itineraries. But then the ones that they want us to do everything for them from A to Z, we absolutely do that 100%. And safety always comes up. And safety not just comes up in Morocco, but globally, if you would. But then you mentioned a few things. Africa. When people hear Africa, they don't know what really to think because of the media. And I'm just going to blame it on the media for a little bit.
Yeah. They deserve a lot of blame. So I'll go with it.
Yeah. So because Africa is it is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful continent. I mean, there's so much to see, so much to visit. We're talking about Egypt, we're talking about Tanzania, we're talking about South Africa, we're talking about Kenya. It's just, the migrations, the animals, it's just beyond incredible. And there's nowhere else to see it except Africa. And I really feel as a continent, we don't really get enough credit. But then, as a country, yes, it's super safe to travel to Morocco. And I was just saying the same thing yesterday on another podcast. But if you want to see the safety in Morocco, look at the kids when the kids go to school. Because here in the US, when you see the kids, you don't see them walking to school. Very seldom. The numbers probably less than maybe 1%. Either the parents are picking them up, or somebody walking and walking with them back home, or through the buses. In Morocco, we don't have that. We don't have that luxury. So the kids, they just walk, whether a mile or so to school. They do the same thing. So they go that route four times a day. And also, a few weeks ago, the Interpol had their meeting in Marrakesh. So if the Interpol had their meetings in Morocco and Marrakesh, that is super significant when it comes to safety, when it comes to security. Then the other thing, which I totally agree with everybody who's concerned about safety, I am as well. But because I know Morocco, and that's why I say it's very safe. But if I didn't know what I know about Morocco, I will feel the exact same thing everybody feels about Morocco. Then you look at the police. There's a police presence, in less than a mile from each other, anywhere you go in the whole radius of the city. Then there are checkpoints when you leave the city, about 3 or 4, sometimes more. and before you get to the next city. So it's really, really tight. Then they have a system, police with just no uniforms, and they're just everywhere. And you cannot, you can be at the airport, somebody's traveling with you, but they're not traveling. They're just, listening. And, so I don't want to get in trouble, but, it's really, really safe. That's what I really wanted to say.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tay. Amazing question, by the way.
Yeah, and I know Morocco is an ally of the United States. We typically wouldn't be considered an ally and provide military support for countries who are persecuting people and not being a safe place to be. So, but that's good to hear. Because I think that's right. I hear that a lot about Africa. I've never been to Africa, but people, they just have a preconceived notion of it, and a lot of people who do travel it, especially in certain areas or even remote areas, they seem to find a lot of hospitality and a lot of really good people there. And obviously everywhere is dangerous. There's a lot of places in the U.S., even in Houston, Phoenix, you're not going to walk alone at night.
Absolutely.
It's like that.
Right.
It's like that everywhere in the world, I believe.
That's right.
A couple things that you had mentioned. You said the word Casbah, and I've heard that before, the song, Rock the Casbah, etc.
Yes.
What exactly is a Casbah?
The Casbah is kind of a fortress, if you would. So that's what it really means. When we look at the Ait bin Haddu, they're also call it a fortress, and it's been there for quite some time. And it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And if you look at Morocco, I believe in terms of comparison to Africa, it's the second or third, when it comes to World Heritage Sites. I believe Egypt is definitely number one. Also, in terms of tourism, last year we did 17.4 million visitors. And it was for the first time that Morocco has been the number one destination in Africa instead of Egypt. And Egypt is they have been number one, since the pharaohs.
Yeah.
So this year they already surpassed 18 million. So I'm not sure in terms of ranking how we're going to do with in terms of comparison to Egypt, but they have surpassed last year's numbers, which is just incredible. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's great. And it seems I have seen Morocco featured in a few movies recently as well. One of them was like a Netflix movie. I can't remember the name of it, but it had a lot of famous actors in it. And then there's the show Outer Banks. They had a lot of stuff in Morocco. I don't know if they're filmed there, but is there a lot of like film industry? Do they film a lot of stuff? I know some of the Star Wars stuff was done in like Tunisia.
That's
yeah.
right. Yes.
Which is maybe not exactly neighboring, but it's pretty close. Is there a lot of film industry in Morocco?
Oh yeah, yes. Tay, we did actually a live Q&A about movies that I made in Morocco and filmed actually in Morocco, and they're over 200. There's so many. You said the Netflix. I know Wheels of Time was there in Morocco. They filmed it in Morocco. The Witcher season 3, they did it in Merzouga in the desert. Game of Thrones they did it in Ait bin Haddu, and then in Essaouira. Let me see which one. John Wick 4, they did it in Essaouira. Him and I think
that's right.
When him and Halle Berry, I don't remember if it was 3 or 4.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yes, that was in Essaouira. And it's really, really fascinating. So they have an area in Ouarzazate, which I talked about earlier. There's the Atlas Studios. They're called the Hollywood of Africa, really, because there's all kind of setups. The land is massive, and they use it for so much stuff. And when you go, for example, to Ait bin Haddu, you'll see a museum of Gladiator. You'll see a museum of Game of Thrones. And then when you do, I think you pay probably approximately less than $5 to get to the Atlas Studios, and you go inside and you do a site visit, which is incredible. And you can take your phone and take pictures and videos, but you cannot do it with a professional camera because you'll get in trouble. Yeah. So in terms of that, in terms of movies, yes, there has been so many movies made actually in Morocco. So and when you said Casablanca, the Casablanca, it was not really filmed in Morocco. It's just the name. But then, that really has helped Morocco in terms of tourism, in terms of travelers, in terms of Morocco recognition. And a lot of people went actually to Morocco, and they still do. Even with the group with us when we traveled, they said, "Hey, I want to go to Rick's Cafe." Some of them they had a birthday, they celebrated inside, and some they just wanted to take pictures outside. So you can actually go and take pictures outside, and it's kind of, if you need to go, make a reservation ahead of time because it does get really busy. You can just get a drink and go inside and take all the pictures you need from the inside the restaurant. It's gorgeous. So, yeah.
Yeah. And when you just said they go into the Rick's Cafe, have a drink. So Morocco's not a dry country, being like a Muslim,
Oh
heavily
no, no.
dominated Muslim country. You're allowed to have alcohol there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Alcohol is it's served. There are specific areas for alcohol, and we call them pisserie. Pisserie, which is a French word. Pisserie, it's the equivalent if you said, like liquor store, if you would. That's really
Gotcha.
what it translates to. And you can find some Moroccan, alcohol or liquor in specs, for example, they carry it, or total wine, you'll see it as well. So
Hmm.
there's alcohol pretty much anywhere you go in Morocco. It's a little bit more available in the major cities versus you go into the desert. But it's, the government said it's for the tourists, but I guarantee you, Tay, it is consumed by locals more than tourists.
Yeah.
So it's a really good excuse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned the Berbers and the mint tea that you had said kind of have an experience with the mint tea and the Berbers. So I've heard the term Berbers. I'm assuming
Yeah.
it's just like a nomadic people, but is that a specific to Morocco thing, or are the Berbers all over North Africa?
That's a really, really good question. And there's a little bit of controversy, but I'll try to explain it. From the Berber, they're actually the Amazigh people, and they are the indigenous people of Morocco. And we fought the Romans, we fought the Vikings, and during those fights, the Vikings, they have their own horns and they have their own things they put in their head and helmets and stuff.
Hmm.
So when Morocco fought against them, they were wearing horns, but they're cows, sheep and sheepskin. So they wanted to smell as dirty as possible. And during that fight, to create an image, if you would, or just how can these people live like this? So it kind of you know worked in a way. So we defeated the Romans and we defeated some of the Vikings, and that's where the name Berber came, because they called us barbarians, which is the closest thing to, afterwards became Berber. So a lot of people, they kind of stuck with the Berber versus the Amazigh. So a lot of people say, hey, I want to have a Berber experience, but they really mean, and we understand it's an Amazigh experience. They want to be with the local Amazigh family or Amazigh village and stuff like that. But for me, it doesn't bother me. I look at it as the same. I don't feel anything negative about it. But a lot of people, they just say, hey, it's Amazigh versus Berber. But I grew up, hearing the Berber word all the time, so it doesn't really affect me at all. So, but
Hmm.
very good question, Tay.
Yeah, I like the spirit, the warrior spirit of the
Yes,
barbarians, the
yes,
Berbers. I think they're my
yes,
people. I like that. Yeah, and you had mentioned too, like you can ride a camel.
yes.
Is that just something for tourists, or when you go there, like when you grew up? Did you grow up riding a camel in America? I mean, America, 2 point something million people. Do people ride camels, or is that just something fanciful for TV?
I would say it's fanciful for TV
Okay.
because, we again, I really appreciated Morocco when I lived in the state. When I lived in Morocco, I was blind to everything. I didn't see anything, and I'm being very blunt, Tay.
Hmm.
So I see the camels anywhere we go, but I never thought to experience it or say, hey, let me ride the camel or let me do this. No, I always thought that's not for us, the locals. So even the square again, Jam Square, which is the largest square in Africa, it was a World Heritage Site, I believe, since 1985. um, the locals don't go to the square very often. They don't really care much about the square, but the square is super popular.
Hmm.
So now every time I go, I want to go to the square every night. because I
Yeah.
see it in terms of colors, I see it in terms of food, in terms of the aroma, the smell. It's beyond incredible. So yeah.
Yeah. Food. That's my next question. I I love food. So what is traditional Moroccan food? Like,
Okay, that's a really good question. We mentioned the minty. The minty is what they call Moroccan whiskey. So that people will give it to you anywhere you go.
it's
When you
an
go to the
like
mountains,
alcoholic whiskey? Like an
no, it's non-alcoholic.
oh,
That's
non-alcoholic. Okay.
Moroccan. Yeah, it's non-alcoholic. So, but we still call it the Moroccan whiskey
Okay.
because it doesn't have any alcohol. But the Moroccan minty is super popular, and I would say it's probably the national drink of Morocco. But people they show their hospitality by offering you, by giving you a mint tea, if you would. But then, if when you go to the villages, the same thing. The culture is still there. I mean, people will invite you to their houses. Hey, just cup of tea, mint tea, and sometimes they take offense if you say no. Just go in, take a sip, excuse me, and then you can just go on with your day. Um, but in terms of food, in terms of dishes, there's so many um, popular dishes in Morocco. And again, it depends on the region. But the most popular one, for example, is couscous.
Oh,
And
okay.
normally it's a dish that it's served on Friday. Friday is a religious holiday for us. It doesn't seem that way, but it is. So normally we have it after the midday prayers, if you would, and the family gathers around and they really enjoy it. And then there's different types of couscous. It's made differently from house to house, from even from the pasta that it's made, then from city to city. So it's incredible. And if you had a chance to taste it, I would say I highly recommend it. And you can have one that is just with vegetables. You can have one with with chicken. You can have one with lamb, with goat, with pigeon. It's just beyond incredible. So I would say definitely the couscous, and then the tagine. Again, the tagine is the dish where they cook, but the tagine can be many things. A lamb tagine, it can be beef tagine, it can be chicken tagine, it can be vegetable tagine. So when you talk about the cuisine, the Moroccan cuisine, it's really, really diverse. And last year, I believe they won the number one spot globally, and they really, really deserve it. So, yeah, the Moroccan cuisine is internationally is well known. It's been the top five for the last decade or so. And then when you go to Morocco, I would say you can try these dishes in whether you're staying at your hotel, your riad, or outside. And the best places to have street food is, for example, is definitely Marrakesh at the square. So it's incredible. The food you cannot go wrong, but just pace yourself. Don't eat too much in the first couple of days. Just a little bit by little bit.
Yeah. Street food. That's
Yeah.
that would be an experience. Just going
Yes.
to, like you said, the square in America, and just to have street food and just to be around the people and the culture, all
Yes.
the, just the language, and that sounds amazing. Can you have? I don't. I'm thinking back in my head. I don't know if I've ever driven down the street in America and seen Moroccan food on or a Moroccan restaurant. Are there places you can get great Moroccan food in America? There has to be, right?
Oh yes, yes. Nowadays, it's yes, you can have them in a lot of major cities. They have Moroccan food. Sometimes they'll have it mixed with kind of Middle Eastern food, both cuisines, to serve different communities. But yes, definitely, and I'm sure there's something in Phoenix because it has to, because I remember, yeah, it has to be something in Phoenix to have Moroccan food for sure. So.
Yeah, I might have to look that up and go see what I can find around here.
Oh, absolutely. And please keep me updated.
Yeah,
Just keep me posted.
for sure. Uh, one of the other thing, and I mentioned it in kind of the introduction to having you on the show here, because it was in the email to you, and with Morocco's culture, hospitality, and its transformation. What exactly do you mean by the transformation? What has Morocco gone through from what it used to be to what it is now?
No, I left 3 decades ago, and I honestly feel and believe, and I witnessed a lot of changes in a good way in terms of many different sectors. Now I'm in the tourism industry, and I see it because Morocco used to be kind of closed to tourism. At some point, if you're invited, you can visit. If you're not invited, You cannot. So
Interesting.
it's a privilege to have that ability to go to those monuments, to see the thousands and thousands of years of history and culture, and share it with the world. So it's an amazing experience, and the government has been doing incredibly well in terms of promoting Morocco. Um, I know the US is different market. Europeans, they know Morocco honestly better than most of us do. And that's
Hmm.
just the truth, because they go there many, many times a year. So in the US is a little different, but it's catching up, Tay. And I believe that trend had started back in the World Cup of 2022, when Morocco, you know, they were the underdogs and they went all the way to the semifinal, which they lost against Croatia. And Argentina beat France in the final, and they won the World Cup 2022. So a lot of people started asking about Morocco. Where is Morocco? What is Morocco? So again, just the curiosity. So we've seen, in terms of the numbers, in terms of tourists and visitors to Morocco, since then it's been climbing. And then they made a goal that they wanted to achieve in 2026, which is 17 million, which we know it has already been done 2 years earlier. So it's just, the exposure has been just beyond incredible. And then the movies that are being made in Morocco, and then you've seen Madonna just spent New Year's Eve in Morocco. Then you see Oprah, then Ryan Seacrest, all those celebrities, Michael Jordan, Prince Harry and Meghan. So this, in Europe again, it's very popular destination. It's very beautiful country. But then in the US, I would say it's probably about a decade or so behind. And once they catch up, it's just going to be beyond incredible. Then we spoke about it earlier, because of the US and allies with Morocco. US is making tremendous investments in terms of tourism for the next 5 to 10 years in Morocco, which is on the other side, the ocean side of Morocco, if you would say, and that's going to be the new Morocco, if you would, in terms of tourism. So
Yeah.
yeah, more options. Yeah.
Yeah. These pictures up behind you,
Yes.
are those I guess back to my original statement about the things on your website and your Instagram page, the photography is it's amazing. And and I'm
Thank
not
you.
just I'm not just saying that the pictures really do Morocco justice. I believe like it
Thank you.
makes you want to go and experience the country just by the photography on your website. Who takes those pictures? Is those your photography?
Okay. That's a really good question, and I'll tell you, this is a mixture of pictures. Some of them you'll see the hotel behind me, which is the Oberoi Hotel, which is it's an Indian hotel chain.
Mm.
They have a very luxury hotel in Marrakesh, and it's beautiful, and it's built almost identical to the Madrasa bin Yusuf in Marrakesh, which is again thousands of years of histories, and it's just beyond incredible. So there's a lot of history in it, and you can see all those pillars. Those actually the hotel gave them to me to promote the
Mm.
hotel and sell the hotel and have guests at their hotel. The other ones I actually hired a photographer, and he went and he took those pictures, and I paid him. Then the ones on the website, which is really good point, now they're gonna ask for a raise. Uh, I have I have two photographers with me. Fatah, aka Eddie, he goes by Eddie. Then Yusuf, and those are the photographers that I have, and they have been with me in the last tour. And Fatah has been with me for the previous one as well in 2023, which we did with the rest of the team in Marrakesh. So yeah, you're right, and the reason why, because I wanted to take um, real pictures of Morocco, accurate pictures of Morocco, because it really hurts me and it offends me. I hope you're not hearing any of this. When I see only, when people show Morocco, they only show the desert, they only show somebody with the camel. There's so
Yeah.
much more to Morocco than the desert, than the camel. And I wanted to show that. And thank you so much for bringing that up, because it means so much to all of us, Tay. Because you can see just, the blue thing with the yellow, I'm pointing to it, and there's one more picture. It looks like a window. That's YSL. Yves Saint Laurent. That's his garden,
Mm.
and that's one of the most popular gardens in Marrakesh, and that's where he's buried actually. Then he has a museum. Then there's a Berber museum at his residence. So there's so much history behind me. It's just beyond incredible. And then you look at, the Hassan Second Mosque, which is the largest. I think it's the third largest mosque in the globe. And it took quite, they started working on it back in 1987. They finished it in 1993. So just these pictures behind, I'm going to change them, but there's so much history. And then, the one with the water fountain in the middle, that's the Bahia Palace. And again, it's just when you go to Morocco, these are some of the places that you have to see. And again, look at the diversity. You have Marrakesh, you have Rabat, you have Casablanca. So the desert. So it's a destination that it's really really worth visiting. And in terms of transformation, Tay, this is not what I say. I know it has transformed me every time I go. But a lot of people, when they come back, they come back with a lot of gratitude. They come back saying, "Hey, you know what? I love the experience because it made me appreciate things even more. I've taken so many things for granted, and this really puts a lot of things in perspective for me." So when you go to Morocco, I promise you, Tay, it's not going to be the last time you visit because it will pull you up because it's so much fun. It's beyond incredible. There's so much freedom that you don't see anywhere else, but you'll feel it in Morocco. So it is super safe as well. So
Yeah. So it's not just Morocco that's transformed. It sounds like Morocco transforms people who visit.
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I've had people. They said I've visited 30 countries. The only place that I want to go back to is Morocco. We've had people saying, I visited 62 countries. Morocco is the only destination I want to go back to. And again, it's a combination of many things. But I would say the number one, honestly, I feel, Tay, is the people. It's the hospitality. It's the way that they make you feel, the way that they talk to you, they care for you. It just there's no behind the scene. Just what you see is what you get, and that's that's a super valuable, if you would.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite place in Morocco?
I'm gonna be biased. I love Marrakesh. I am
Yeah.
from Marrakesh, but I love Fes. Fes, the first time when I visited Fes, I fell in love with it. Yeah, between those two cities, absolutely, absolutely. It's just the history, and again Marrakesh because that's where I was born. It feels natural to me. I mean, once I'm in Marrakesh, I mean I can stay the whole day not do anything and still feel really really good. Then there's so much things to see and do in Marrakesh. And again, it's because of its location. It's so close to anywhere else. So it's like an hour and a half, an hour you'll be in the mountains, and 2 hours you'll be in the ocean. So it's just incredible.
Yeah. The other city, Fesh.
Fes, Fes, yes.
How do you spell that? I want to look that up.
It's F as in Frank, E as in Echo, S as in Sam. Fes
Oh,
is
Fes. Okay.
yeah, Fes. Yeah, that's then in the north side of Morocco. Then you have Tangier, obviously, which is the closest point to Spain, to Europe. Then you have Chefchaouen, which is the blue city. It's just incredible. Then you have Tétouan. There's so many cities. Incredible, incredible country. It's very diverse. It's really, really diverse. Then when we talk about the food, the food in the north side of Morocco, then for example, in Tétouan, for example, in Tangier, for example, in those areas, the seafood is king. I mean, the seafood; those are the best places to have seafood. So it's just it's super super diverse,
Yeah.
culture, food, cuisine, everything.
Yeah. Do you ever see yourself going back there later in life and living out your
That
days, or are you pretty settled in America, family
I'm
and
gonna
all?
get in trouble today. I'm gonna get in trouble. It's so funny. I said that to my wife, Khadija, and then our son Imran. Um, and she looks at me and is like, I don't think you're gonna make it. You're so used to the US. You know, you're not gonna be. It's gonna be very difficult for me to adapt. And then we actually have decided that we're gonna go back, and then we changed our mind. So
Yeah.
it's honestly it's a struggle for us as immigrants back and forth, but we're very grateful for the opportunity to have an option, that we can go back and or stay in the U.S. So
Yeah.
I really don't know, but the way that we are raising our kid is, he'll have that option that he can go anywhere he wants. He can live anywhere he wants. This is what we do. The goal for us is him to know, his roots and we're very grateful. He knows his roots and he's very familiar with it, and he's very proud. And he sells Morocco better than I do, so it's incredible. So
Yeah. Well, sometimes just being away from home, that the longing for it is sometimes better than when you put yourself back in it, right? I guess
totally, totally,
when in
yes.
Marrakesh, you kind of love it.
Uh, I well, I lived in Dawdiyat, so it's very difficult to pinpoint the location, but it's a neighborhood that it was built, I would say, back in 1974. That's when we moved to the neighborhood. Now Marrakesh has grown so much. I feel like a lost tourist in it. It's just maybe 4 or 5 times the size that it used to be. It has grown so much. So, and the thing is, it's kind of funny because anywhere that I really want to go, I always have somebody with me. I've said this many, many times because I don't want to get lost, but also I don't want to feel uncomfortable. So so I always have somebody with me, just
Yeah.
for the fun of it, just have, somebody to talk to chat and have a good time. So
Yeah. Well, Azdean, you do a great job of selling Morocco. I can tell
thank
that you're very passionate about what you do and the country that you came from. And like you said, I mean, it's about the people more than anything. And maybe that's a lot of the reason why I do this podcast. I mean, talking to people from around the world, I mean, that it really is the people that make the world go around, and everybody comes from a different place and we have a lot to learn from other cultures, etc. So I
absolutely.
really appreciate you coming on the podcast. And, I hate to do this, but speaking of Morocco and Casablanca, I like to say that of all the gin joints and all the towns and all the worlds, I'm glad you walked into mine today and we were able to have this conversation.
Thank you so much. I'm very grateful. I cannot find the words that really express my gratitude for you, Tay. I'm super appreciative for this opportunity, for being part of your podcast, and I can't thank you enough. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You're a wonderful person, and I wish you all the best. And I hope you're able to bless a lot of people with Morocco, and you see nothing but success.
Thank you so much, Tay.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to my conversation with Azdean Elmoustaquim with Destinations Morocco. It was great getting to know Azdean and hearing his passion for sharing Morocco with others. After this conversation, Morocco is absolutely on my bucket list, and I can't wait to make that dream a reality. If you'd like to connect with Azdean and Destinations Morocco to book your next great adventure, visit destinationsmorocco.com, linked in the show notes. If you'd like to see the beautiful photos and videos of Morocco mentioned during this episode, make sure you visit Destinations Morocco on Instagram and Facebook. I've added links to these pages in the show notes as well, and you will not be disappointed. Don't forget to like, follow, share, and subscribe to the Stranger Conversations podcast wherever you're listening, as well as on social media at stranger.convo.pod so you don't miss out on the conversations to come. If you'd like to be my next guest, visit strangerconversationspodcast.com and sign up. I'd love to connect with you and have the opportunity to share your story with others. I'd also like to thank our sponsor for today's episode, Hammer Defense. Hammer Defense makes the world's first go-anywhere self-defense cell phone case, perfect for keeping you safe on all your big adventures. Explore Hammer Defense's options at hammerdefenseproducts.com, linked in the show notes. Make sure they know I sent you by using code TAYAZ12 at checkout. You'll also receive 10% off and free shipping on your next order. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more amazing conversations to come. I'm Tay Jones, and we'll chat later.